Stop wasting your retirement savings on overpriced retirement homes that drain your bank account and your soul. What if I told you that sailing the world on a luxury cruise ship could actually cost you less than rotting away in a facility with fluorescent lighting and scheduled bingo nights? That is not clickbait. That is the brutal financial truth that the retirement industry does not want you to know. Thousands of retirees are already making the switch, trading their nursing home waiting lists for ocean views and five-star dining, and they are doing it without going broke. So before you sign a single contract with a retirement community, before you hand over your life savings to an institution that sees you as nothing more than a monthly payment, you need to watch every single second of this video. Because what we are about to reveal will completely destroy everything you thought you knew about retirement planning. And it might just be the most important financial decision you ever make. Now, this is not exactly a new concept. People have been floating the idea of retiring on a cruise ship for years. But in 2026, it is gaining serious, mainstream traction, and for very practical reasons. Retirement home costs have skyrocketed since the pandemic, with facilities across the United States raising rates significantly to cover staffing shortages, inflation, and increased demand. At the same time, major cruise lines have been quietly rolling out long-term residency packages designed specifically for retirees. So more and more people are sitting down and actually running the numbers. Today, we are going to compare two very real options side by side. First, a standard assisted or independent living retirement community. Second, a full-time cruise ship residency. And we are going to look at both from a purely financial and lifestyle standpoint. No fluff, just the real math. So let us start with the retirement home side of this equation, because understanding what these facilities actually cost in 2026 is essential before any real comparison can happen. Right now, the national average for an independent living facility in the United States sits somewhere between $4,000 and $6,000 per month. If you need more hands-on support, assisted living pushes that number considerably higher, landing between $5,500 and $8,000 every single month. What does that price tag actually cover? Essentially, your room, basic meals, some utilities, and a limited set of amenities. That is your foundation. Now, if we are talking about memory care facilities, the numbers climb even further, often exceeding $10,000 per month. These figures represent your baseline. Keep them in mind because everything we discuss from this point forward gets measured against them. And here is the part that retirement home brochures conveniently forget to mention. Because if they told you up front, you might actually walk out the door. That shiny base rate you see advertised? It is essentially the entry ticket, not the full price of the show. The moment your loved one needs anything beyond the absolute bare minimum, which, by the way, is almost guaranteed to happen, the billing department starts adding line items faster than you can read them. We are talking medication management fees, incontinence supply charges, extra monitoring costs, even fees for something as basic as help getting dressed in the morning. These are not rare exceptions. These are standard practice across the industry. And the truly frustrating part is that most families only discover these charges after they have already signed the contract, already moved their parent in, and already become emotionally committed to staying. So before you hand over a single dollar, you need to demand a complete itemized breakdown of every possible additional charge, not just the headline number they put on the website. because the difference between what they advertise and what you actually pay can easily reach tens of thousands of dollars per year. And that is not a rounding error. That is a financial ambush hiding in plain sight. Now let's shift over to the cruise ship side of this equation, because this is where things start to get really interesting. Full-time cruise living in 2026 is not a one-size-fits-all situation. It actually comes in several distinct pricing tiers depending on the line and ship you choose. On the budget end, repositioning cruises and older fleet vessels can run as little as $2,500 to $3,500 per month per person. That is genuinely competitive. Step up to mid-range lines like Holland America, Princess, or MSC Cruises, and you are looking at roughly $4,000 to $6,000 monthly. Then there are the premium experiences. Lines like Viking or Oceania push into the $7,000 to $10,000 range per person per month for extended long-term stays. So the spectrum is wide, and that matters enormously when comparing against retirement home pricing. So what exactly does that cruise ship monthly price cover? Quite a lot, actually. Unlike retirement homes, where the base rate is just the starting point, cruise ships bundle nearly everything into one number. Your cabin accommodation is included. All main dining meals throughout the day are included. Evening entertainment, live shows, trivia nights, dance performances included. Gym access, swimming pools, onboard fitness classes included. Daily housekeeping, sometimes twice a day, included. Access to onboard activities, lectures, cooking demonstrations, and port destination programming, included. Many newer cruise packages in 2026 are also folding in Wi-Fi as standard. This all-inclusive structure fundamentally changes how you should read the price tag. What looks like a comparable or even higher monthly number on the surface is actually covering far more ground, leaving far less room for those frustrating surprise charges that quietly balloon retirement home bills every single month. But before you start packing your bags, let's talk about what the cruise brochure does not mention. Gratuities alone can run $18 to $22 per person per day, which adds up to roughly $500 to $600 monthly before you have spent a single dollar on anything else. Specialty dining upgrades, alcoholic beverages outside a drinks package, and personal shopping can quietly drain your budget further. Shore excursions at each port, while optional, are genuinely hard to resist and can cost hundreds per stop. Then there are the landside expenses people rarely calculate. A storage unit for belongings back home, mail forwarding services, and occasional flights between cruise segments when itineraries do not connect seamlessly. Realistically, these hidden extras stack up to anywhere between $500 and $1,500 per month, depending entirely on your personal lifestyle and spending habits. Now let us put these numbers side by side and look at this as a serious financial decision. A mid-level retirement home, once you factor in all those extra charges we talked about, realistically lands between $6,000 and $8,500 per month in 2026. That is the true all-in number most families end up paying. A mid-range cruise ship lifestyle with gratuities, occasional specialty dining, and those logistical costs back home included, comes in around $5,000 to $7,500 monthly. And here is where it gets genuinely compelling. On the budget end, cruise living can drop as low as $3,500 to $4,500 per month. That is a potential saving of $2,000 to $4,000 every single month compared to retirement home living. Over a full year, that difference reaches $24,000 to $48,000. This is not a quirky lifestyle experiment anymore. This is a legitimate financial strategy worth taking seriously. Now here is where many people pump the brakes on the cruise idea, and honestly, it is a fair concern. Retirement homes, particularly assisted living facilities, offer genuine medical infrastructure. We are talking about on-site medical staff available around the clock, structured medication management, emergency response systems built directly into your room, and ongoing coordination with your personal physicians. That peace of mind has real value. Cruise ships do have medical bays on board, but they are designed for acute emergencies, not chronic condition management. If you are managing diabetes, heart conditions, or complex medication schedules, that distinction matters enormously. However, retirees in good to moderate health have workable solutions. Comprehensive travel health insurance combined with telehealth services can bridge much of that gap effectively and affordably. That said, if your medical needs are significant and ongoing, the retirement home model, despite its higher cost, may simply be the more practical and safer choice for your situation. So here is the million-dollar question, sometimes quite literally, that everyone watching this video has been building toward. When you stack retirement home living directly against full-time cruise ship living, which one actually comes out on top financially, psychologically, and in terms of sheer quality of life? And the brutally honest answer is that the winner depends entirely on who you are, what you value, and what kind of final chapter you want to write for yourself. If you are someone who craves roots, routine, and the comfort of watching the same sunrise from the same window every morning, then a retirement community is not just a practical choice. It is the right choice. But if you are someone who feels more alive with a passport in hand, a new port on the horizon, and a dining table full of strangers who become friends by dessert, then cruise ship living is not an indulgence. It is an investment in the version of yourself that refuses to slow down. The data does not lie. The math does not lie. And frankly, your gut already knows the answer. The only real question left is whether you are brave enough to act on it. So let us be brutally honest for a second, because the traditional retirement playbook is looking increasingly embarrassing right now. You spend 40 years grinding away, and the grand reward is a fixed address, a rising property tax bill, and a homeowners association telling you what color you can paint your fence. Meanwhile, the sea living movement is not just growing, it is accelerating, and the people who dismissed it as a fantasy for eccentric millionaires are quietly running out of counter-arguments. The healthcare objection? Dismantled, as we just covered. The social isolation concern? Storylines and Villa V Odyssey have built entire communities around solving exactly that. The cost comparison? Once you factor in mortgage payments, maintenance, utilities, and the soul-crushing monotony of the same four walls, the numbers start looking far more competitive than most people are willing to admit. This is not a niche lifestyle experiment anymore. This is a legitimate, structurally supported alternative to conventional retirement, and the market data heading into 2026 is making that argument louder than ever. The question is no longer whether full-time sea living is viable. The question is whether you can afford to keep ignoring it. So who does cruise ship retirement actually work for? Honestly, it comes down to knowing yourself. If you are healthy, mobile, and genuinely energized by new experiences and new people, this lifestyle can feel like the ultimate reward for decades of hard work. If you are open to selling your home or already rent, have flexibility around where you live, and prioritize experiences over having a fixed address. The numbers and the lifestyle both align in your favor. But if you have serious mobility challenges, complex medical conditions requiring consistent specialist care, or a deep need to stay close to family, cruise living creates real friction that no amount of ocean views can fix. And if you simply love the comfort of a permanent home base, there is absolutely nothing wrong with that. This is not about one option being superior. It is about which life genuinely fits yours. So here is the bottom line. In 2026, the cost math no longer automatically favors the retirement home. For the right person, living full-time on a cruise ship is not only financially competitive, but can genuinely come out cheaper, all while delivering a richer, more stimulating daily experience. The gap between these two options is narrower than most people ever imagined, and in some cases, it has completely flipped. But this decision goes beyond spreadsheets. You need to factor in your health situation, your lifestyle preferences, how close you want to be to family, and honestly, what you actually want your retirement to feel like. Run your own numbers. Compare your specific scenario. The answer might surprise you. Now, I want to hear from you. Drop a comment below and tell me, which option would you choose and why? Retirement home or life at sea?